Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everybody, and thank you to those who have joined with us with this with our monthly meeting. It's coming off the heels of Memorial Day, so we knew it would probably not be full participation, but we do have some things to share. But before we get started, Donald, we want to lead us in prayer.
I think he had to jump off for a work call. I'll pray.
Okay.
Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you, Lord, for those that are in earshot and eyesight of this call. We thank you, Lord, for our community. We ask, Lord, that you continue to lift us up, give us wisdom in all things, and we lift up our elected officials, that they be the servants that you have called them to be. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Harvey. Ms. Warren is on vacation and we don't want to take all of her vacation, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into her report. Ms. Warren.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I took a little 4-day break. Something's wrong with my camera, so I'm going to talk. Please know you can send me a message or just come off mute and ask me. I'm going to start with we were very, very lucky to end the school year on such a strong note. We had several of our high schools who we attended all the graduations, and just a little bit of the numbers for people to know. We had Banneker High School had 280 students graduate with $3.2 million in scholarships. We had Creekside High School with 372 students with over $21 million in scholarship. We had Langston Hughes High School with over 500 graduates with $44 million in scholarship. We had Tri-Cities High School with 347 graduates and over 10 million in scholarships. And we had Westlake High School, over 575 graduates with over $30 million in scholarships. So we had really good graduation season. It's always really positive to see these young people with all their different stories and them walking across the stage. Lots of them going to not only HBCUs, but to PWIs, just an array of colleges, joining the forces, joining the workforce, business owners, just so positive. I'm happy for that. As I said a little bit in our pre-conversation, is that right now in the district, we are doing a lot of things around maintenance, construction, and everything in between. If you've driven past A. Philip Randolph, you'll notice that they are getting a new roof. I was driving over there yesterday and I saw them working on Memorial Day, actually tearing down off the old roof and putting up the new roof on. We also are having at Westlake High School, they are going through a deep cleaning over there and getting through the work orders that we know that we have to get through. We also have at Westlake High School, they are getting a upgrade to their weight room. For a lot of people who don't know this, some of our other schools got totally new weight rooms who have older buildings. That would be Tri-Cities and Creekside. And so Westlake, because it's a newer build than those two, they are getting $199 million, no, not $199,000 of weightlifting equipment. This is something that is really important because, to my understanding, and I could be wrong, but speaking to people over there, this is the first time they're getting new weights since they've been in that building. So that's something that we as a board, I was very, to me, it looks better. And it's also good for kids when we make sure, looking in the weight rooms, making sure they have all the equipment they need, because all sports, all classes use this. And so they're getting that. In addition, they're getting a new floor, or they've already gotten their new floor, and they're getting the insides painted. And that will help just make sure that our football caliber, they have the same equipment as some of the others. In addition to that, we are about to release the architect reports for, these are a couple of schools that aren't in the Sandtown community, but this is important to note. In early fall, Camp Creek Middle School, we know is going to be a completely new rebuild. And so the architect, the design for the architect will start to be developed in the fall. And also for Conley Hills, they're a little bit further. They're going to break ground on that. One of the things that we've been talking about is just the increase in construction and what does that look like. Previously, it was taking, this is years ago, it was taking the board about 1.5 years to build a school. Now it's taking a little bit longer, closer to 2.5 years. And so one of the things I've pressed the superintendent on is, as we are doing a lot of these constructions, is speeding up the time, especially on the south side, because this is where our growth is making sure that not only are we making sure that we are building fast, but building in a way that makes sense. So for example, you see Randolph getting a new roof. Well, it makes sense for also, if there are other upgrades that Randolph needs, they get them at the same time, so that we're not having to piecemeal and we're doing it in a way that's logical and makes sense. In addition to that, there is going to be some work. All of our high school football, all our high school scoreboards will be getting brand new scoreboards. They come at about, I want to say $200,000 a piece. So we've been working on that for them to have that, and then also new turf for the outside. So these are just some of the cosmetic things that we have to do. But there's just a lot going on this summer to make sure that we can get that. And usually Fulton County, they've done this for a while. And you guys know this, is that they do a lot of the big work in the summer. So for a lot of our elementary schools and middle schools and high schools, in addition to the construction work, is also making sure that our work orders are up to date, and also making sure that we are doing a deep clean for our buildings. So just a lot going on there. Towards the end of the year last year, we had a lot of conversations around technology for our students. As you know, kids in grades 3 through 12 got a one-to-one device. And we spent a lot of money. I don't have the exact numbers, but one of the things that we noticed and that we wanted to make sure was that, especially in middle school, there were a couple of problems, but especially in middle school, we were not getting our devices back how we were giving them. So screens cracked, computers being lost or stolen. And just so one of the things that we've decided for next year across the county is that if you are in grades 3 through 5, you will not take home a computer anymore. It will be in the classroom. There will be a classroom set. 6-8, the schools will give them out as needed, because some of our scholars already have computers. Those who don't, they'll be able to check them out. And then in high school, they have them, because that's technically where all those are going to. One of the reasons we decided to do that with 3-5 is because kids have gotten extremely savvy. And even as we're updating and making sure they can't get on this and they can't get on YouTube, what we have found in grades 3 through 5 is that many of our young people are using them to watch YouTube, and not necessarily for the educational purposes of the laptops. And so there will be a shift. I said this on a meeting before. We've really been focused on the reading and teaching kids the appropriate ways to read and having resources that push that. So kids have workbooks, so they will be bringing those home more, and not those computers in grades 3 through 5. K2 has never had a computer brought home. It's just not developmentally appropriate. And also there are just a lot of concerns with the screen time for K2 babies being on laptops and iPads, and making sure they have the basics before they get into that. And so that's something that I think parents will see a shift in. And this is something that is not germane to just Fulton County. When I talk to my colleagues in APS, when I talk to my colleagues in Clayton, when I talk to my colleagues in DeKalb and Cobb, we are finding that a lot of our technology is just not being as well taken care of when kids have carte blanche to take it home every single day. I'll give you an example. At Sandtown, we use the computers for testing. So the idea was getting every kid in middle school a computer. So when testing comes around, you don't have to find classrooms of computers. Everybody has it. With a student population of 1,000, when we collected all of our 6th and 7th grade laptops, I think we recovered about 500 the first initial. That's out of 1,100. And so we had to push a couple of times to get to about 800. But it has just been something that we have tried to look at best practices and how do we keep our equipment, because these are taxpayers' dollars, but also give kids access to what they're going to need to do their work. So there will be a shift in that. The last thing, and then I'm going to pause because I know people may have questions and or concerns, is we are in the process of approving our budget. One of the things that is in the budget is that there is a pay raise, suggested a $2,000 retention bonus for teachers, in addition a $5,000 retention raise for Fulton County employees. And a lot of times when you hear that the governor is giving a $2,000 bonus, that doesn't include paraprofessionals. It doesn't include bus drivers. It doesn't include our luncheon staff. It doesn't include other staff. So we pay for all of that. So we're in the process of hopefully approving our budget and then getting into our millage. I have spoken to our superintendent to either, and we're hopeful to either roll it back a little bit and or keep it the same so that we are not burdening taxpayers. But we are in the process of that. I will pause to see if there are any questions or concerns, just to make sure that I get to everything.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Hi, my name was showing up now, Lucretia Denson. I'm standing in place for my mom, Ivory Denson. She had to go to another meeting, so she assigned me to attend tonight's meeting. But I did have a couple of questions. The retention bonus for teachers, you said was 2,000, but for employees, I guess non-teacher employees, it was 5,000. So it's more for the non-teachers than it is for the teachers?
No, so everybody is, so the governor gave money for a $2,000 retention bonus for all teachers.
Okay.
His bonus, it does not include paraprofessionals, luncheon, bus drivers. The school district picks up the tab and we give the $2,000 retention bonus to everyone.
Okay, so I thought I heard 5,000 somewhere in your presentation. Did I just mishear that?
Yes, I didn't say anything about 5,000, not for that.
Okay. All right, so 2,000 is just for the teachers, but Fulton County also, or City of South Fulton also does 2,000 across the board for everyone, including the non-teachers.
So the school system is completely separate from the City of South Fulton. So the school system, Fulton County Schools, we have always done this. Everybody, when there's a bonus given like that, everybody gets it. We don't delineate between what role you have. If there's a retention bonus, we give it. So while the governor may give 2,000 to teachers, we might say, here's 1,000. I'm just giving an example for our bus drivers, our cafeteria staff. But what people think is, oh, the governor's giving a bonus to everybody. That's not necessarily true. He gives it for a group, and then we, the school districts, have to come back and we have to, whoever doesn't have it, we then have to give it to them. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, and then the last question was a replacement cost for the computer. Is there like, I don't know, a pool or something that is you, I guess taxpayers' monies are used to replace, and is there any, in the future, they would decide that this program is just not cost effective or it's no way to roll it back. Once it's been put in place, there just needs to be effective guardrails in place to make sure the computers are given back. And I wrote down the 3 different steps that you said, what grades get it, what grades cannot take it at all, and what is as needed. So has someone done an analysis of how much it costs taxpayers to replace, and if it does make sense to continue the program, or there's no way around it? It's always going to be in place.
So we replace technology buildings and maintenance of technology with SPLOST. That is the penny tax.
Okay.
So say taxpayers get that. What that means is that from that SPLOST, we get funds for it.
Okay.
I'm sure Mr. Davis will probably put this link in here, is once every time that we ask for SPLOST, that's every 4 years, we have a presentation around how we spend that money.
Okay.
And so through the pandemic, when everybody went virtual, we kind of piecemealed and everybody got a one-to-one device. And the next year they got a one-to-one device for whoever didn't get it or whoever didn't have it. And so it's not that the taxpayers do pay for it through SPLOST, but it's not a pool of money where we continually ask the taxpayers for more money. So one of the things that we do, if you have a device and you do not return it, we identify $250 tax lien, not lien, I'm sorry, it's not a tax, but a $250 fee for that family to pay. For example, what happens is, what we have found is that, and I'll just use Ms. Davis, is it okay if I use you just as an example?
Sure.
If Miss Davis, we give her a computer in August, and this really happens in October, the child loses it, right?
Mhm.
So what we've traditionally done is loan them another computer. Well, come around January, the child might have lost that replacement computer. So what we've done to make sure that we are using taxpayers' money in a way that is efficient, once you lose that computer, we immediately put that fine on there for it. Because there were situations where we were giving kids multiple computers and they were losing them, or they were ending up in pawn shops, or they were coming up stolen. And so we have a system now. Every school has a technology person that when they are lost, they can immediately ding them and they can LoJack them and find them. But also making sure that the fine is put to the appropriate child, making sure that if we are seeing that there is a pattern with a child, they're losing them, we're not giving them additional ones, but we're also making sure that they can also get their classroom materials. And so that has been a way to make sure we just have some oversight for that.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, I have a question for Ms. Warren. Hey, Ms. Warren, this is Kimberly Gibson.
Hey, Ms. Davis.
Hey. So I have a couple of questions. Question number one is, I was talking to the principal of my baby's school at the beginning of last year, and she was saying that iReady was a sunset program, meaning that it was no longer going to be used. Has there been any conversation about what they'll use next year, or if it's still sunset, if it will be used again next year? And then my second question is about, as it relates to devices. I remember at the beginning of the year, if there was something where I think the elementary schools and maybe even the middle schools had to shift their devices to the high school. And so that caused an issue because our elementary school babies were not able to take the diagnostic assessments early, which means data came late, and you know what happens when you get late data and all of that. So I'm wondering about that process as well. Will they do that again this year, and what's going to be put in place?
So I'll start first. Already. Hold on one second. I saw okay. So one of the things that we are proposing that iReady possibly be a sunset program. If we do not have iReady, it is likely we are going to go to MAP. But we have not, iReady will be there this upcoming year. We have not rolled out the process on what that will look like. iReady is a nationally normed test, and so is MAP, but MAP gives us a little bit better data. And so we have to go through a process of that and what that looks like. But parents will find out probably at the beginning of this year what the process will look like for the following year for those students. So I think that answers your first question.
Yes, that's perfect. I prefer MAP myself, but
Yeah, I do too. And one of the things, there's some feedback. One of the things that happened with iReady is during the pandemic, people were using iReady as a curriculum, and iReady is really for intervention, right? It's for you to use a couple of minutes after school to solidify skill. And so the superintendent has pulled that back, and you should have not seen your child do as much iReady as homework. That is why we went to the curriculum aligned with the science of reading. And so next year you will start to see those workbooks being brought home. And also, if it is iReady, it is doing it 15 minutes at night, not as this is the curriculum. The second thing around the laptops for the high school, that was a direct result of people not bringing back laptops and iPads from the previous year. So this hasn't just been a this year problem, this has been a previous year problem of just all this technology and not really any teeth or claws for us to get it back. Honestly, from K-5, one of the things that we have heard overwhelmingly from teachers and from parents is that they want less dependency on computers. the kids are not retaining the information. And there's a lot of research around there that questions, is it is effective for a child to have a book in their hand opposed to having this computer? And so this upcoming year, and one of the things that the principals are working through this summer is staggering the testing of the children so that the kids are not doing it all at the same time and running into those roadmaps. This summer, they've collected all the computers and they're updating them. And they're also going through and they're also seeing which kids have not brought back computers so we can continually recover them. So the short answer to your long question is staggering testing, making sure that the kids aren't testing at the same time as the high school, because the high school has a little bit more leeway than our elementary and our middle school babies. But we do believe keeping them in school will help us a lot more. But parents will not see K-5 students with as much technology as they had. And I just think that's a sign of the times. I think parents are a little weary and teachers are a little weary of all the things that come with the technology piece. And so as the principals are going through and thinking about knowing they have to test kids and do that, just making sure they are really aligning it so that you're not trying to do it at the same time the middle schools and the high schools are trying to do it.
Okay, so does that mean that they will have the laptops for Stonewall Tail will stay there this summer, or they will go to Westlake, and then after Westlake finishes, the kids will test at Stonewall Tail?
So I think we have some feedback still. The laptops were sent back to Stonewall Tail mid-year. And so their technology person this summer, all they're doing is refreshing laptops. And so out of 700, actually 600, probably about 690 kids, I don't know the numbers of the kids who actually return them. And so right now this summer, the tech person is number one, levying fees for the parents and letting them know they have to pay this fee before they get it back. Before the child can check it out, but also making sure that every teacher in their room has a cart, and in that cart, they can test from that. But also keeping in mind that some of this is scheduling. So as our kids, as we know, our K-5 babies should test earlier than our high school kids. That is going to be on making sure that the zone soups and everybody is not trying to test at the same time. So the short answer to your question is that Stonewall Tail has their laptops. Their tech person is pushing them through and refreshing them this summer. Out of 690 kids, I don't know what was actually turned in from usage of those third through fifth graders. But that's the whole process this summer. So they can start next year knowing exactly who has one, who did not turn one in, but also more importantly, just making sure the ones that we have, every 3 through 5 teacher has a laptop cart.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? Well, thank you, Ms. Warren, for that report. Y'all got a lot going on in the school system.
Yes, it
And-
never stops. Can I add 2 more things?
Sure.
We have our students at Sandtown Middle School next year who will be going internationally to Spain and some other countries. They are going to be inviting other middle school students. So they have a passport day tomorrow at not South Learning, but Stonewall Learning Center down Stonewall Tail. And they also have one on Monday. In addition, there are students from Sandtown who are competing nationally at the end of this month in Louisville for TSA, Technology Student Association. They placed in the state competition, and so now they're going nationally. And this isn't last, but definitely not least, next week, starting Monday, the South Fulton Band Camp will be held at Westlake High School. This is where every band director, 6th through 12th, they come together for 1 week in South Fulton, and they teach our children band, but in the afternoon, they also teach them jazz. It's all free. It is, if you have any availability, next Friday at 12 o'clock noon. And if that's not the right time, I'll get to Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis and Miss Davis to get them the correct times. But they have, it'll be a great performance. It'll be free. And it's just good to see all of our South Fulton students come together in the name of music. It'll be roughly about 300 to 400 kids.
Wow. That sounds fun. All righty. Again, thank you, Ms. Warren. And I want to make sure no one else has any questions or anything for Ms. Warren. Well, thank you for that report, and you go back to enjoying your vacation.
Thank you, guys.
All righty. Do we have anyone here from fire and police? Well, I don't think so. Well, today's meeting, Councilman Rowell and Councilman Gums are at their meetings today, and they're
Town hall.
going town hall meetings, and they're gonna try to pop in when they can. So I will go ahead and give the development update. As I said in the beginning, a lot of people are still on vacation. And so instead of joining the call, they called me and gave me the updates and reports of what's happening in the community. So I'm going to share that. You all know that the Starbucks is coming over in Sandtown Center. And then you have the chicken place. Well, next to that, there's a parcel, and there is a steak burger place called Freddy. They are going to come next to Popeye's chicken place. And it's in that parcel that's right there at the corner of Union and Riverside. And they are in the Atlanta and surrounding areas, and the one that he mentioned to me is like there's one in Conyers, and it's spelled Freddy. But it is a hamburger place, but it's more of a steak burger is what I'm told. And I looked it up on the website, and it seems pretty nice. So that's what's coming there. I don't know, I'm sure everybody knows that Goshen's Catholic Bar opened on the 17th. And I had an opportunity to go there last Saturday evening. And it is a very nice place. It's a bar, and you have the tapas dining, which means small plates. The food was very good. The atmosphere was wonderful. I don't know if any of you have gone, but I would suggest that you give it a try. It is not a place that you go and you have a big dinner, because that's not what the tapas dining is. It's small plates. My husband and I went, and we had about 4 or 5 different plates, and we had drinks, and they have a very strict requirement there. You can't wear sneakers, nor do you go with any type of athletic wear. They have a security guard that opens the door for you when you go in. And of course, they have inside and outside dining. So we really did enjoy it. So I hope all of you get an opportunity to go by and enjoy what they are offering there. Lennar Homes. I don't know if many of you have been on the calls before, but we talked to Lennar Homes last year, and the city council approved them. And so they were approved, and they will begin their preliminary plat and LDP within the next 30 to 60 days. He said that the entire process probably won't be completed till later on this year. And they said the infrastructure work will probably start at the beginning of 2024. But this is a development that is down Riverside, well, on the backside of Publix, a little bit closer to the warehouses back there by the what is that? The walking trail and all of that, the nature area back there. behind Public, and there is a plot of land that they're going to build homes back there. And so we are excited about a residential piece coming there. And I don't know if you all have driven on that backside, but it's a lot of residential houses back there, individual, not communities. But there are a lot of people that live it back there. You don't see the houses from the street per se, but you do see the trash cans sometimes, or you do see the mailboxes, and they have these long winding driveways. But it's a lot of people that have homes back there, and so having this community back there will fit in, and kind of we won't be just totally surrounded over there by the warehouses. So what we will do is, once they get ready, they will come back and present to us. When they came last year, we talked about some of the types, what the houses look like and all of that, and they have been working with the city. So I can't wait to see the plan they have for that development. It's not a very large development, and it is our hope. When we talked last year, one of the things that we find in most communities, that people who work for the police department or people work for the fire department, they usually don't live in the communities in which they serve. They usually live outside of the communities, and a lot of times they can't afford to stay in some of the communities that they serve. And so we're hoping that this development will be attractive to our police and fire professionals, our city professionals, and it is not a cheap development by no means, but it's a small development, and we want to make sure that we provide a diverse mix of products in the community, and it would be nice to have police officers that live in our community and live and thrive in our community. It's kind of like an extra pair of eyes on a lot of things. So hopefully we will have success with the community. And the development that is at the corner of Campbellton and Camp Creek, right past Wallace Road. Mr. Hakeem will be with us next month. He is on vacation, but they are moving forward with that development. And then finally, we have said, we told you all that Chipotle is coming at Sandtown Center, and they are going through the process now as well. I think there's an issue with a water easement or something that they are working through, but they will, hopefully they'll get through that process, and you'll see that coming. Now that is coming in the parcel in Sandtown Center. You have the CVS, and then you have the Publix, and right the backside of it faces Camp Creek, and that's where Chipotle will be. Along with, there will be a Chipotle on Cascade Road and 285, and that redevelopment that's taking place there, where the Quick Trip will go and some other things. Councilman Rouse told me that I don't know if you all have seen coming down Danforth, the orange and white markers that they have all the way down from Cascade Road on Danforth. Well, the city is beginning to do the work on expanding the sidewalks and all of that you see on Danforth all the way back up to Cascade. So that work is about to get started. And I think what she said, they're not gonna just tear up everything because it'll be a mess. So they're kind of doing this in pieces. So it won't be, we won't have a whole lot of traffic issues or whatever with that. So that's coming as well. And that is all of the updates that I have. Doug Crawford was going to get on the phone and talk about, he has about 75 acres that he is trying to sell, but I don't see that he is on the phone. So with that, does anybody have any questions about any development or anything that they see in the community that they would like to talk about?
Actually, I just, I wanted to say this long time ago, but I think it's the appropriate time to say that now. And it's interesting to see Chipotle coming around. And what happened was in 2011, I wrote to them and I gave them the statistics of our neighborhood and the locations, Marketplace, and also Sandtown behind me here. And in 2011, they wrote me back emphatically saying they are not interested. And years later, it's just interesting. I see them now because what happened, I gave them the demographics and, the information about our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, they opened one in Marketplace, the same place they said they were not interested. And then Sandtown, I just wanted to say that. And when I hear, the people talking as if, it was just from the thin air, that wasn't true. It was my doing, 2011, when I wrote to them. And they told me they were not interested. So just of a sudden now, they're opening up 3 within 6 miles of my house. Interesting. I just wanted to say this.
It is because,
What I will say is it's all about timing. The developer of Sandtown Village courted them for years and believed when we got the Publix that they would entertain that. But a lot of times those decisions are made based on an organization's expansion and the like. Certainly, to your point, it's very attractive, but Sandtown Village has been after them for almost 2 decades.
and what I will say to that, if you just kind of look at it from a holistic view. So you get the Publix over there. So then, and you got the CVS over there. Everything that you're adding is increasing the foot traffic. And when the Carter development, I don't know if you all were on the call last month, when Carter talked about the apartments that are there, that they are building. And what they are seeing is that the commercial piece, they have 3 out parcels that 2 will be facing Hamilton Road, and then 1 will be facing Riverside. And the thing that he said that was interesting to me is that we're asking for sit-down places to dine, and the interest is coming because they kind of have a captive clientele with the apartments there. And so while a lot of times we don't like density, we don't like the multifamily end of things, but sometimes having the density and having this foot traffic is what becomes attractive to these retailers coming to the community. Because when Publix found out that Carter development was approved, they sent a letter in support, because every demographic has a different type of buying pattern. And you want to have an array of buying patterns and needs. I'm not going to go and go to dinner every night or go out and buy food and bring in every night. I'm not that generation. I cook at home, but there is a demographic. If you go in that Publix in certain times of the day, I mean, the getting the food and all of that, it's just lined, it's circled around getting all of the food and that kind of thing. And so we have to have a wide range of demographics. And with that, that's why we have to be strategic and work hard and to do our best to try to find the right things to bring to the community and place them in the right way. And the development that's coming down on the corner of Hamilton and Stonewall Tail, those townhomes that are coming, now you're gonna get at that intersection. All of that intersection is now going to change. And DOT is at the table on a lot of these developments to help us with calming the traffic and helping with the traffic issues that we will have with more people in the area. So it's some exciting times going on in Sandtown. And then you have Councilman Rao talked about the movie place.
Studio.
What is it? It's a studio.
Well, correct.
And yeah, and what that will bring. So it's a lot of things happening in the area and a lot of good things. And we have to stay engaged. We're not going to agree on everything, but we have to stay engaged and do our best to try to bring the right things to the community.
Also on Reynolds Road and Boat Truck, there's a big sign there for 74.8 acre lots. Anybody have an idea what's going on there? And
That's-
also any update on the movie studios on, behind Publix? Any updates on that?
Well, the 75 point whatever acres, that's Doug Crawford's land. And he put it up for sale, and I had been dialoguing with him, and I thought he would be on, because I asked him the question of what's happening with it, but that's his property. He's the one that developed Sandtown Center. And Sandtown Center, yeah. And so that's his land. Now, as far as the movie theater, I'm sorry, the movie studio, the company is out of New York, is all I know. And they are kind of keeping it close to the vest until I guess they have a ribbon cut and whatever they're gonna do. But all I know is that they are out of New York for that studio. If anybody else want to add what they remember from that conversation.
Well, they cleared the land a couple of months ago. My understanding is whoever the entity is not going to be a Tyler Perry studio, but it's going to be the type of studio that leases its space out to different production companies and the like. So you'll have a more variety of movies that are being done around the corner from us. The only other comment that I wanted to make about development is it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. And one of the things that people don't consider is that a lot of the companies, one of the factors for companies coming, particularly restaurants and grocery stores and the like, is the employees having the employee base. So a lot of folks have rejected MARTA out here in some fashion or form, but at the end of the day, as you well know, most hourly employees that work in a restaurant or at a Whole Foods can't afford to live out here based on their income. So the other factor is where there's transportation or MARTA access, that opens up the pool of employees that enables companies to come and have enough staffing to support their businesses. The example I'll give is, I don't know how many of you have been to Avalon which is in Alpharetta, but it's a very upscale mixed-use development, and it has a Whole Foods and a lot of the restaurants and the like that we would want. But what came along with that is employees can take MARTA to go to work there. There's a bus stop that's just a half a mile away, and it runs until 11 in the evening, which means a lot of the laborers there at Whole Foods who don't have cars and can't afford to live out here, out there or out here, have that option where there's mass transit. And I know that firsthand on Whole Foods because I've got family members that have experienced that dynamic and had lots of coworkers asking for a ride to the bus stop. Lots of factors. It's been a long time coming. Sandtown supported Sandtown crossing and the zoning back in 2002. And we've worked aggressively with John Perlman, the developer, and we have the things that were part of Sandtown blueprint from decades ago coming to fruition, including the roundabout at Campbellton and Boat Rock and the sidewalks on Campbellton Road. Those are all things that our organization has lobbied for 20 years now. And that roundabout was over $8 million.
And one of the things Councilman Rouse said, the sidewalks will start at Cascade and Danforth, and it then will connect to what Atlanta installed. And then when you get up to New Hope, it will go on down to Boat Rock. So the sidewalks will go all the way around. It's just that all of it has to be done in pieces because, it'll be chaotic trying to do all of that construction at one time. And one of the things I wanted to let you all know, there was a developer that had he's actually purchased the land right here on the corner of Boat Rock and Hamilton. We met with him last year. We told him that we didn't want apartments there last year. That's not the place for an apartment community, we think. We asked him if he could look at putting a brownstones there where people can purchase as opposed to rent. And he needs a zoning modification to do what he wanted to do. So he came back to us a couple of months ago, and he came back with rental again, but this time it was rental for condos or something. And again, we told him we didn't want to put rental right behind all of those homes where people, they own their homes there. And we asked him if he would develop that community or that parcel as it is zoned. It is zoned for retail in front, and then it's zoned for single housing in the back, which then butts up to the houses that are right there on New Hope and all of that. Well, he didn't like it. He was not happy after our meeting, and a few weeks later, they withdrew their request to rezone. And they're going to rethink, hopefully, what they put for. But that is something we'll keep an eye on. The city council knows what we don't want, and we're just not gonna approve anything going on that corner. We don't think that apartments are what needs to be there, and we'll just keep at it. But hopefully we'll get that corner developed in the right way. Does anyone have any questions, comments?
I just want to say thank you for being an advocate for us on that front. I agree with your thoughts about the type of community or the type of development that needs to be there. And I appreciate you guys making him go back to the drawing table a couple of times. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. We also, one of the things we also met with a realtor that has an office out here. She joins our calls periodically. She's not on the call tonight, but she has a lot of insight in the real estate market and what's going on. And we kind of met with her to kind of, we kind of have to have people realtors see and hear things, and they come across different developments. And so the purpose of the meeting that we had with her is to say what the kinds of things that we're looking for in the area and the kinds of things that we don't want in the area. And so when she's out there dealing with development and developers, she can kind of keep an eye out or an ear out on on possibilities of things that we would like to see in the community. So hopefully once these things that are in the pipeline get started, the ground starts to get broken to get started, you'll see a lot of activity. And you'll probably get a lot more interest coming this way. Well, with that, I want to thank all of you. It's 7:25. I want to thank all of you for coming. If you join late, you can always go onto the website. These meetings are recorded, and you can go on and listen to the recording if you missed something. Marilyn, is there anything you want to add? You're on mute. You're still on mute.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Just want to tell everyone how much we appreciate you paying dues to the Sandtown Association. The money goes toward our post office box, which is right now it's $106 for 6 months. It goes toward our internet service. It goes toward registration for the Secretary of State. And it also goes toward a service fee to our bank account, which has charged us a service fee since it changed over from SunTrust to Truist. So Debbie and I are going to go into the bank and see what we can do about that based on our account. Because, everybody wants you to have a certain amount of money in the account. Well, beforehand, that was not necessarily the case. So we're going to go in and see if we can talk to them about that. And so that's where we are right now. Right now, we have $323.07 in the account. And so that's all I have to say. Wait a minute. Individual dues, $25. Family, 40.
Community.
And
50.
Associations, 50.
Yeah.
And that gives everybody a right to the ability to vote. If you are a community association and you're up under Sandtown, I think 2 people can come in and vote for different things that we may want. If you're a family, I think that's 1 person. And if you are a family, it may be 2 people.
So it's 3 people for an association.
3 for association.
An individual, and then for a family is 2.
2.
And so the dues, what we do, and just to kind of give everybody an idea of why we began to do the dues, of course, to cover our costs. When we were meeting in person, we would sometimes meet at the church, at the different churches. And so they never charged us anything, but they're paying for lights and water and everything else when we're in the church. So we would sometimes make a donation, just a donation to the church, thanking them for allowing us to use their facility. But what in the past, when we have a lot of development and we try to get every that lives in Sandtown input, what we were finding is that we had a lot of people that did live in Sandtown and had other ulterior motives and would come and try to defeat things that we were trying to do. And so we have a membership, and so that we can keep up with who actually lives in Sandtown and whose voices are actually being heard for some of the things that we're trying to do. And so that's how we came up with, that's my understanding of how the deed was in place, and it helps us to cover some of our operational costs. Any other questions from anybody else? Well, if not, we will be back in July. I'm excited about the development on the corner of Hamilton and Camp Creek, so I can't wait to see what Akeem will be sharing with us. So hopefully you all will tune in on the first Thursday of July. And with that, you all have a wonderful evening and have a great rest of your week.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.